Everyone, welcome to Power On. This is our second webinar from Chokolaate, the Ultimate Teen Magazine. And we'll be talking about entrepreneurs and how they can keep going during these uncertain times today. So we have a really good panel here with us today, and our moderator will be Radha. I'm sure you already know Radha. She's one of our crew and she's a very talented writer. So before we start, I just need to mention our partner UCL who has partnered with us for this webinar. So just a 2-minute video clip that we need to play before we start. Right. So, just because no one knows each other yet. So everyone, please welcome our panelists, Randy Chris, Sasmini Bandara, Rukshi Nethicumara, and Jeeza Jameel. So they will be talking about their own ventures and how entrepreneurs in general can get through this tough time, right? And Radha here will be moderating. She's a writer and she's also an instructor, so she has her own experience. So without further ado, I'll just hand it over to you, Radha.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Parami. Okay, so a very good afternoon to all of you out there. Thank you so much for joining in. So just as Parami mentioned, she actually pretty much briefed about what this webinar is going to be, but just let me just recap it once again. So in this webinar, we'll be talking about how young entrepreneurs can keep their businesses functioning, especially during these times. So to talk about this subject, we have a very interesting panel with us today. And what's special about this panel is the fact that all the 4 people we have in our panel today are coming from 4 different fields of business. So that's going to benefit our discussion a great deal, hopefully. And, we'll be able to get into a lot of insights and, brainstorm really good ideas. So let me introduce to you the speakers or the panelists for today. So we have Rukshi Nethicumara. When I asked Rukshi, how can I introduce her? She just told me to stick with Rukshi, but Rukshi, I'll have to add a little bit more to that. She's the founder and the CEO of Butter Boutique. Butter Boutique does the best cakes in Colombo, and they have their outlets in Navala, Rossmint Place, and also at Park Street News. So next we have Jeeza Jameel with us. Jeeza is the fashion director at RNJ Apparels Private Limited, and RNJ Apparels have their outlets at Colombo City Centre, One Golf Face, and their flagship store is in Kalubovila. So we also have Randy Chris on board with us. For those of you who do not know, Randy is an artist and he's also an animator, and he's also a co-founder of Meraki United. So Meraki United is a company that produces video animations and art, and they cater to both local and international markets. Last but not the least, we have Sasmini Bandara with us. Sasmini is the program and community associate for Hatchworks. So Hatchworks is it's a very new business. It's quite something that's out of the box, and it's the first ever incubator and accelerator co-working space in Sri Lanka. You'll get to know a little bit more about it during the course of this discussion. Okay, so before we get started, let me also brief you on how this webinar is going to proceed. So we basically have 3 stages or 3 rounds to our webinar. In the first round, each panelist will be talking about their plans have been. And in the second round, we'll be talking about Power On, as to how we can keep entrepreneurs going during this time. And the third round is going to be a Q&A segment. So those of you out there who have questions for our panel, you can send them in and we shall tackle them towards the end of this webinar. Okay, so I think it's time to get started. Rukshi, I'd like to start off this discussion with you. To start things off, could you tell us how has the last 2 months been for your business?
Well, it's been
Butter
tough.
Boutique?
So initially, I really wasn't sure how we were going to manage it because there were so many rules and restrictions as to what was going to happen. And the thing is, we were left with so many stocks of everything that we had bought. So firstly, it was the panic of, what's going to happen? We're stuck with all this stuff. And then secondly, it's like, okay, we have everything. Now, how do we get the products out? So basically, it got to a point where I had to rethink and re-strategize everything. Again, it was basically like a wake-up call of starting fresh because we had no idea how we are. I still have no idea how, the next 3 to 4 months we're going to survive. It's all basically at the moment of just keeping your head above water. So I'm finding it a little bit tough still at the moment. I mean, we're just taking it day by day. So that's how it's been. It hasn't been easy at all. Luckily, I have a fabulous set of staff who's helped me from the start. So so it's not been easy. It's been pretty tough.
All right. Okay. So moving on to Jeeza. So you work for the apparel industry, and the apparel industry is actually one of the most hard-hit industries at this point of time. We see how large-scale garment factories have stopped their usual productions and have started to use their resources to produce clinical supplies like masks and protective body kits and so on. So my question to you actually has 2 parts to it. Firstly, what's your opinion regarding the current situation the apparel industry is in? And also in the context of RNJ Apparel, how have things been from your side?
Right. So our position is quite complex in the sense that we are also a retailer plus we are a manufacturer. So we actually make our clothes in Sri Lanka. So when you're a manufacturer, it's like a clock that needs to be turning, right? It doesn't stop. you don't stop being a manufacturer for anything. So for the last 2 months, our production is completely halted, and there's been zero manufacturing. And when that happens, the whole system, the whole rhythm of like manufacturing, raw materials coming in and then them going out as finished products, it's in a complete standstill. And on a manufacturer point of view, from the apparel industry point of view, this is literally the worst thing that can happen. And what's happening in our particular industry is a lot of factories are closing down. A lot of factories are closing down. We have so many people calling us up and like asking for jobs because the factories that they're working in are shutting down. And at this point, the market size in Sri Lanka is small, right? So there's only so much factories that are required in this country in the market size. So at this point, with fewer people buying and fewer retail shops, they don't have the money basically to buy inventory. So if they're not buying inventory, there is like literally no need for a manufacturer. So many factories are shutting down, and even retail outlets, they are not buying inventory. And luckily for us, we are in both ends. So we are a retailer plus a manufacturer, so we can actually sell our own products through our own sales channels. So that has been, in a way, that has helped us survive this. But the industry is struggling a lot. So many factories closing down, and yeah,
Yes.
not a
Yes,
good time. It's
totally.
really bad.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on to Randy. How has your company, Meraki United, been coping up with the situation at the moment? I mean, we know food and clothes sort of have an ongoing demand, not like for creative products out there, because restaurants are running somehow. The apparel industry is down here, but restaurants are somehow running. And in the meantime, the creative industry has gone down a great deal. So how has your company sort of coped up with this situation?
Yeah. Yeah, well, see, I also thought that there will be several aspects that will be also be affected,
Yeah.
but since the product that I usually do as Meraki, we do mostly video stuff and illustrations and all that. So it's mainly virtually done. So there's no physical involvement. So because of that, I don't think we have been that much affected. Also, when it comes to what I do, and then there are also a couple of things that helped us stay here. One is like again, like I said, it's a virtual product, and there are only several small instances where it's actually need to be physical. Like if you're giving a farewell gift or something, and the illustration being printed out and given. Apart from those things, it's kind of we are kind of afloat because it's all virtual. And also we
Okay.
have adapted a remote working culture for my as ever since I moved away from Colombo 2 years back. So only little has changed when the lockdown was ordered.
Okay.
So and these are tried and tested processes. I mean, we are all since it's all online, and so again, but when it comes to our industry, the marketing side and the advertising sides are pretty much affected as well. I mean, they have taken a bigger hit than the entertainment. Also another thing that helped me stay afloat is like I had built my portfolio into a certain extent, and I did have organic following both locally and internationally. So I mean,
Okay.
in the our commercial industry has also been affected. I mean, some of the projects that I had done prior to the situation and even during the situation, they are finding it hard to make the payments as well. So
Okay. Yes.
I think one advantage is doing what I do is like it's all virtual and it's done online. So that hasn't affected in a major way to what we are doing. So but still there are a lot of animators, a lot of my
Yeah.
friends out there who are affected, and I'm reaching out to them as well to maybe to outsource or give work as team collaborations and such. So it's a moving target. Everything is changing. So we have to adapt as it goes on. Yeah. So we are not that much affected. I would like to say with this situation.
Yes, glad to hear, Randy. Randy, there's a little bit of a lag, but I think I hope everyone out there heard you clearly. Anyway, so moving on to Sasmini. Sasmini, how has Hatchworks been? What sort of challenges have you had to encounter these couple of months? How have your company been operating in this process?
Hi. So you can hear me properly, right?
Yes. There's a little bit of a lag, but I think we are good to go. Yeah, that's fine.
No, internet connection problem is there, but it comes on and off. So let me know if you can't hear me.
Okay, sure.
Hatch, just as any other co-working space during the curfew, during 2 months of curfew, so co-working was not there anymore, right? So no mobility. So we face the same problems that any other co-working space would face. But we also have our programs, events that we have been, we bounced back really fast, right? As soon as the curfews were enforced and everything, we moved all our events and programs virtual. So to give you examples, as in we have a lot of programs so our fintech accelerator was launched during the curfew times, and then we have our mentoring programs with an amazing panel of mentors. So we have been having Hatch Open House with one-on-one mentoring for startups that also virtual. And then we have had this Hatch Kitas Bootcamp for female entrepreneurs to solve. So initially it is about not initially, right now also it is about solving problems that the female entrepreneurs are facing. So right now we are focusing on both at this time, how can we do it, and how we generally do it as well. So we have had just like every other co-working space, the problems are there, but we have the resilience, the persistence of the Hatch team has made it to work, and Hatch global events, Hatch online events have been happening, and the programs have been to help the entrepreneurs to startups. We have been having all the programs and events move to virtual platforms. So that's the best support that we can provide at this time of the pandemic. So.
Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, so that was our panelists relating their personal experiences in terms of the companies that they are working for. So to start off round two, so in this round we'll be, touching the topic of today, which is Power On, which is how young entrepreneurs can keep running during this period. So Rukshi, I'm going to come back to you once again. So for all the home bakers out there, for all the small catering businesses out there, and for all the new startup restaurants out there, how do you think they should plan and function during this time? It's not like you can just open up whenever you want and do the normal procedure that you used to earlier. What are your thoughts about this?
Yeah, see, it's going to be a bit tough for everybody, because even for us at the moment, everything is cash on delivery. Even if it's a small 100 rupee or 200 rupee supplier, they're all saying it's cash on delivery. So how we're tackling it, or how I think any home baker sort of can tackling the thing is, you've got to think smart about how you're going to function. Do you know what I mean? For example, if you have a menu of, if you have or had a menu of 10 to 12 items, scale it down to about 2, 3, or 4 of your best sellers. Because also at this moment, if you have, say, so much of a variety, firstly, it's difficult to manage everything. And secondly, I don't think even people have the buying power to buy so much. So my sort of thing is scale down on the menu that you have, focus on the best selling products that you have. Secondly, try, now what we have also noticed is you know how earlier you were just stuck with one supplier, like you think, okay, this is the one person who's going to supply this. But one thing that we noticed again during COVID is there were so many new suppliers that were popping up. You know what I mean? So, which is good for us because each one is giving us a better offer than the other one. So we were actually saving a little bit of money, figuring out which one to go with. So it's like, do research on your suppliers, minimize your menu. The thing is, I wouldn't do anything like cost cutting at the moment because I know some people have to do that. But the thing is, if you give a good product, that is one reason that your customers will come back to you. Like times like this, cost cutting is definitely a no-no. As difficult as it is, which is another reason why you should just stick to something that you're good at, and just again, you know, minimize the menu. You know what works, you know what doesn't work, and just stick with that. Because I'm sure in a couple of weeks, everything will sort of bounce back to normal. So it's just, you know, we have to just keep our heads above the water until sort of things fall back into place. So yeah, so that's how we've been managing, and that's how I can tell like home bakers and everyone to just sort of, you know, to get through it at the moment that's currently happening.
Okay, right. Okay. Thanks, Rukshi. And coming to you, Jeeza, what about retail clothes stores? How do you think they can function in this situation? And how can they make use of their online platforms, most importantly?
Yeah. So yeah, how retail, like in manufacturing, we work 2 to 3 months ahead. So that kind of paid off because we did the COVID, this whole situation happened in the biggest season time of the year, April season, and then we are going into the Ramadan season. So it's a seasonal time. It's the biggest retail time of the year. So luckily, we are good inventory, have all the inventory sorted. So then the next question came, since we are not struggling for inventory, the next question was to sell it. And obviously, given the nature of this virus, going into public places is the biggest no-no. And in retail, that is like the thing you have to do. You have to go into a shop and it's a public space.
Yeah.
So what we did was with Jeeza, what we got, so we had, right, two we can't even open, especially the one golf is, it's not open to the public yet, and there is still a lot of restrictions in opening it, the mall itself. Then if you take CC, it is, Colombo City Center is in operation, but we are yet to open our outlet. Because we have staff shortage. A lot of the staff workers, like the ones who work on the selling floor, they have not shown up to work. Mainly because the nature of their job is dealing with other people, it's socializing, and if they have to work in the malls, they're afraid. Like for them, they're afraid to go and work in a mall. So with all these kind of issues, like can't even access our outlets, we are only operating one of our outlets, that is the flagship store. So we decided, okay, we need to double down and do what we can do. So with staff shortage, we can only operate one outlet. And we have decided to be extremely transparent with our policies. So we've made it like strict this in place for whoever comes shopping into our store. You have to wash your hands. We have put up a wash-on, which is a bit of an extreme decision that we took because fit-ons could cause contamination with products. And, you know, if you go into a fit-on room and someone has used it before you, there is a very good chance that they sneezed or, like, you know, certain droplets got all over it. So those are some things we discourage. We have completely banned fit-ons in our outlet, so no one can fit on. And so there are some outlets who are offering fit-ons, but what I feel like is the way to sanitize an outfit, a garment that was fit on, is so complicated. You have to steam it, you have to dry it for 72 hours back from the shelf. So optically, that 2 hours, and you're going to have multiple people trying on clothes, and it sounds like a nightmare. So we just banned it completely, no fit-ons in our outlet. And we just want to make it a safe environment for the staff who showed up to work, the staff who are committed, and the customers who are supporting us right now, because it's right now the customers who show up are like the loyal customers and the ones who really it's not that they're buying out of vanity or anything. They are supporting us. Like every purchase they make helps us, manufacturers and retailers like us, to survive, because a lot of people are closing down. It's a really difficult time right now.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing that we did was we switched to online. The moment this thing happened, my developers, because we were working on a website, right? But the moment this happened, my CEO and I, we decided, okay, we need to go online. We need to go online like now. So we've been working with our developers for the past 3 weeks, and we've been working like day and night, calls in the middle of the night. Website sorted, and we went live last week. And the website is now functioning very well. And a lot of people are purchasing through the website. It is performing better than the outlet itself. So I think that's the biggest thing right now that really paid off, is to get the website started, inventory on itself. If you take a back seat and just wait for things to get better, it's not. And COVID is not going anywhere else, because it's going to stick around for months. People are saying years. So if you don't have a plan, if you don't have a plan to go online to sell your stuff, that's not going to work out. So that's what we did. We went online, and we are very transparent with our policies, and we're very strict with our policies also. So by doing that, we can still operate in store, but we're heavily focusing online. And as for manufacturing, it's still paused. We still have not opened that, because we do have inventory in place, and we have to be very careful with getting all the workers back to work. Because with manufacturing, it's a very hands-on. A lot of people are involved. There's sewing people, designers, production. It's a huge operation. A lot of people are going to be in one place for a long time, and until we are ready to make sure that they are fine, or they don't get affected, or they don't catch anything, we are not going to start that. So those are just some of the really strict decisions that we've taken just to get through this whole situation. Yeah.
Okay, right. Okay. Okay, moving back to Randy. How can designers and content creators sort of use this time to build up their portfolios and, like you mentioned, approach? It's a difficult time for everyone, but it's also given us a lot of time to sort of rethink, plan things out. So how do you think designers and content creators could use this time for their benefit?
Yeah, so like Jesus said, like, yeah, this is going to be there for some time. And like, most of the people that I know, animators and such, who work in corporates, organizations, they haven't been affected as much. I mean, they're still going to work, but the small new startups and all these new production houses, I mean, a lot of people have been affected. I mean, some of them have been closed down. So like, I mean, I'm mainly talking towards them. I mean, since they're at home, and they have free time, and I think you should take that for your advantage, and really work on your portfolio. Because when I was going to 9 to 5 job to really refine and make a proper product, and I found my way. I mean, like, spending more time and making it polished and making it looking nice, a complete product. It's like, it's now an opportunity for them to really push and go to your best potential, and work on that portfolio, because it really, as an animator and an illustrator, that's what you have to show. I mean, like, so you should work on that. And also, like, I would encourage entrepreneurship at any rate, even if you have a secure job as a side hustle, and as an entrepreneur is essentially one who exploits challenging situations, like all these individuals here. So if you are an entrepreneur, these times would be a good time to explore the emerging demands and trends, and adapt alternative processes, and basically get online and start a virtual shop, and find functioning distribution systems for your products and services, and introduce, like, Rukshi said, scale down on your portfolio, and just introduce new products that are essential and affordable and can be done at scale. I mean, it can apply for anyone. So, and for designers and content creators like me, I would like, just make your portfolio, use these free platforms like Pinterest, Behance, ArtStation, Instagram, and expose yourself and get that exposure locally and internationally. So also, finally, I'd like to add, like, just keep the start with your industry. I mean, keep that industry alive and support each other as well, and in your community, and the whole ecosystem, because join forces, collaborate, and work something out, because people, we are all connected in the end. It's all connected together. Yeah.
Randy, we lost you. Are you back?
Yeah. Oh, all right. Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, the
Can you hear
last
me?
bit was unclear. If you could repeat that
All
once
right.
again, please.
Yeah, sure. So finally, you can start by, supporting your industry, connecting with the people that and, support, join forces and collaborate with them, and see what can be done. And, because in the end, we are all connected, we all connected together. Support your community and the whole ecosystem, how things work. And, yeah, like, start from your industry, and then move out to the rest of the thing, stay in touch with the community. That's what I would like to say.
Okay, right. Okay. Thanks, Randy, for that. And coming back to you, Sasmini, you work for a business that encourages startups. Hatchworks provides a variety of services, like you mentioned, incubation and acceleration, and it's all to, help startups. Do you think it's a good time for people to, get into startups? And if it is a good time, or for the people who are out there who has already made plans to start up their own businesses, what sort of advices could you give to them?
Yeah, so I handle two programs for Hatch. One is Hatch Open House, the mentoring sessions, virtual mentoring sessions which is happening every week, and then the Hatch Kick-Ass Boot Camp, right? So, because I'm saying this because this is relevant to what I'm doing as well. So during this Hatch mentoring sessions, Hatch virtual mentoring sessions, I've had around like 60 plus virtual mentoring sessions so far for around 30 to 35 startups. Okay. And within those 30 to 35 startups, I have seen at least 5 or 6 ideation stage startups. That is like startups which want to founders actually who wants to execute the idea. So I have met like startups which are in the phase where they are thinking whether to execute the idea right now, is it a good time, and like the startups which have been thinking of launching during these 2 months, and startups which were hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. Rukshi just vanished for a second, but
Yeah,
she's
sorry.
back.
Yeah, just getting caught. Sorry.
Yeah.
And startups which have been thinking about expanding their ideas into the next stage. So, I mean, like, I've spoken to most of the startup founders who are thinking of moving from the ideation stage to revenue stage at this time of the year, like during this global pandemic as well. One thing that I have seen is like they are all working out there to execute their ideas. They are going through like startup webinars which are provided for freely available during these days to collect more information, knowledge about executing their ideas, and then working on value additions like one-on-one mentoring and boot camps and idea sprints which are provided by Good Accelerator on working out the ideas to execute during this there's a startup like I have dealt with like a couple of startups which has already been starting from during the global pandemic itself, and like they execute and they're working on it for like further. So I mean, it's like any time is a good time to start if you have the will and the persistence and the resilience. Just like we are surviving here with the businesses we already have, it is like if you are willing to take it up and if you're willing to be open-minded to collaborate and work towards your goals, I think it's a good time. And like the other thing is like startups are mainly like innovative, creative ideas, right? So I have actually like seen startups starting up like from there are startups which have been sourcing and marketing and delivering sanitizing items to startups which collect volunteers to teach give tuition to students, and freelance platforms. And there are so many. It doesn't have to be like digital. It like whatever the star ideas you have, if you are willing to do it, I think I will advise to go ahead, because there are so many resources available virtually as well, and there are so many partners who are willing to collaborate and work towards something. So it's actually a good time as any other time.
Okay, but Rukshi, since you have been in the business for quite a while and you're quite experienced as an entrepreneur, what do you think about startups? Do you have anything more to add to Sasmini's comment?
No, I agree with Sasmini. For me, whether whatever startup or new business that is, if you have the passion for it, and if you have the love, and if you have the die hard. For me, it was all about, I know maybe this is the wrong way about going it, but see, a lot of people, when I was starting up, they said I couldn't do it. They said it's going to fail. It's going to be 2 days, 3 days, 2 months. For me, it was trying to prove to a lot of people that I can do it. See, that's where a lot of people go wrong, because there's so many everyone around them, whether it's family or friends or even the closest of people to them, they'll always say, no, you can't do it. You won't be able to do it. And when you put that little seed in your head, it sort of tends to grow. And then when you're ready to start, you'll think, okay, no, maybe I shouldn't be doing this, or maybe I should be listening to them because, they're older than me or they've had more experience than me. For me, it's no, don't listen to anyone. I always go with my gut, because it's never let me down, to be honest. So if I had listened to what a lot of people said, whether it's moving from the good market to my first shop at 27th Lane, when I was doing that change, a lot of people were like, why do you want to move into a shop? Why do you want to do this? Like, some of my closest friends were like, oh, it might fail. So again, if you have the strength in you to overcome anything that anybody says, it'll do it. And also the passion, if you have the passion for it, and if you're not doing it just for the sake of doing it, then anything will work. Like, for me, it's just like, always take the risk and think outside the box. You know what I mean? And don't listen to what anybody says, because even some of my own family members were like, no, it won't work.
Okay, right. Okay, got it, Rukshi. Jeeza, anything else, anything that you want to add to that? And also Randy, anything that you can add to that topic, the topic of startups that we just brought up?
So
I would like to
go ahead, Randy. Yeah.
Oh, Jeeza, go ahead.
Randy,
Go ahead.
Randy, go
You
ahead.
go ahead.
All right. So the Rukshi's words really resonated with me. More or less, those are like really the motivators that drove me as well. I've been working in the corporate sector for like 12 years, and all that time, I just felt like I really couldn't push to my best potential. It was slowly building up. And I was used to a lot of people around me who are used to very comfortable lifestyles, comfortable jobs. But then there was a certain thing that really I needed to get out of my system, and it was getting quite toxic as well. At the corporate, workspaces. So I really listen to my instinct. It's been known to be true most of the times, like Rukshi said again. There are a lot of voices around me saying, don't take those kind of risks. But, I got that, a lot of people were saying that it won't succeed and all that. So I took that as motivation and really took the leap. And that really pushes you when you have something of your own. You really put in all the work and effort, and especially it should be a calculated risk. You should analyze the backgrounds, and then smartly take the decisions so that the time will be right. But you have the prior experience as well, then you'd know at what time you can take that leap. So it's been an awesome journey. So I would encourage anyone out there, I've been like mentoring all these small kids coming out of school, A levels, right out of O levels. I see myself in them, and I really reach out to them and give them tips, and really try to bring them into fruition. Like their parents are kind of they wouldn't recommend going down that road, but I get that as well. So I slowly try to mentor them as well. So I mean, you should have that passion and drive to really take on any, you can take on any challenge if you really put your mind to it. And once you put your mind to it, like, everything probably works out. So I mean, yeah, that's what I'd like to add.
Jeeza, what about you? I think you two had something to say about it.
Yeah, so with startups and like actually putting out something new right now, like I think Sasmi said, like, go ahead with it. Now is a good time as any. So that's interesting because like we are in a we're in the worst possible time to sell something or even do a service, right? Because nobody wants anything. So in this particular time, if you can come up with a product and people are going to buy it from you in the worst scenario possible, then in the good times, your business is good to go. So as a startup, if you can, you should always think of a product needs and something really unique. So like I can speak only for the fashion industry because I am from that industry, and this industry is super easy to get in the industry, right? It's because the nature of Sri Lanka itself, the apparel industry, like you can find fabric suppliers, you can find stitch it for you, pretty much everything is readily available. But what you do need to think about is the uniqueness of your product and your brand and exactly how uh, it's unique. Like you need a niche customer base, and those things, if you can find them now in these really bad times, I feel like in the good times they'll be better. Like that's what my dad always says. If you can survive the bad times, it's like cruising in the good times. So it's a very interesting time, and as a startup, it's a really good experimental time. Just see what works, and if it works, keep doing it. But also always have a way to measure yourself. Like just because you it's a bit of a tough love, but like you need to try things, and you also need to find ways to measure if what you're doing is working. And if you have positive feedback, good response from customers, you're getting good likes or whatever, you need to find a way to measure what you're doing. And if it is on like a growth upward scale, then you continue doing it. But if you feel like, okay, you're doing so much, you're putting out so many products, but it's not the numbers that you want, you're not hitting the sales that you want, then you're definitely doing something wrong. So you need to take a step back and reinvent yourself. And like as a startup, you need to have that thinking, because like when you start, it's so natural to think that's going to work. Oh my God, everyone's going to buy it. But then the day you start selling, it's like, okay, people are not buying it as much as I wanted people to buy it. Then you really need to rethink and reinvent and keep perfecting that product. If you don't keep perfecting your product, your startup may not go to the next level. So that's just what I think. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thanks so much, Jeeza. Okay. So I think we're good to go into our third round, which is a Q&A section. And we have some questions that have come in the way as well. So we'll go ahead and answer these without further ado, because I sort of see a thunderstorm coming in as well in a bit out there. So yeah. Well, Rukshi, there's a question for you. What are the safety measures taken in your line of business when it concerns food and hygiene?
Okay, the thing is this: now we sanitize the bakery, the stores, everything once every 3 days. We have sanitizers placed all over the stores and in the bakery, and then we have sinks into which Uber drivers who enter the premises, they have to wash their hands, they have to sanitize themselves. All our staff are wearing gloves, protective masks. So I make sure that we are up to the highest level of hygiene level as possible, and we have been authorized by the PHI. So again, I take 150% responsibility to make sure that everything that goes out of my shop and out of my bakery is at the utmost, the best level that I can give it at. And also, whether it's deliveries or takeaways, all the Uber boxes, everything is sealed shut. So we're taking very, very, very strict precautions as much. But the biggest thing that I do is I get the whole place sanitized once every 3 days. So all 3 shops are sanitized once every 3 days.
Okay, right. Okay. And also for Jeeza, you have a question. Are you selling online now? I think you mentioned it already. You mentioned that you're selling online.
Yes, we are.
Yes, there's a little bit more to it, the question. So
Okay.
what are you doing additionally to make sure your business continues, even though people aren't visiting stores at the moment?
All right. So the biggest thing we're doing right now is we are carrying on as normal. Initially, when this happened, we were taken aback. Like, we were so confused. Do we launch new products? Do we hold off? Are we insensitive by launching new products? So many questions going through. And by like week 3, we realized, okay, this is the new normal. We need to adapt or we die. And we are responsible for all our staff, the families that are dependent on our staff. And that has always been the thing that pushes me, because I'm not the only one here. There's a huge back end of people there. So like, we need to do better. We need to make sure that we need to pay salaries. We need to keep living through this. So by week 3, we decided, okay, you know what? Enough is enough. We've stayed quiet for long enough, but now we get back into the game. So we started launching products. We started continuing our marketing campaigns. We set up online and we're selling online, and we are taking every possible safety measure. We've minimized the people, especially with the online store. There's just about like 3 people who are handling the entire operation. So with COVID, more people involved, the more likely for contamination. So we doubled it down. We just have 3 people doing the entire process, and that way there is no new people coming into the scene. These are people who are taking safety measures. There is no extra foreign kind of other people coming into the process. It's just the 3 guys, and they are fulfilling orders. So there is no chance of getting germs from here and there, or like, virus, all that stuff. So that's how we continue doing our marketing. We continue launching new products, and we just adapt to the new normal. Because if you stay quiet and uh, afraid of the current situation, afraid of what people might say, just because you are trying to move on, uh, then there is no moving on from this, and then you're just going to be stuck in a rut. And we got ourselves out of that rut. We've been stuck in it for a while, but we were like, okay, no, we're launching new products, we're setting up we're going to open the store, and then we'll face whatever comes from that. So that's just continue, like, accept that this is the new normal and we need to move on.
All right. Okay. Okay. We also have a question for Sasmini. How do you keep business going online? How do you keep business going online? But though, I mean, everyone can add in whatever information they have into this, because pretty much everyone who is here has experience working online and selling their products online. So Sasmini, you can start up, and maybe the others too can add in their comments to it. So I'll repeat the question. How do you keep business going online?
As in like launching new products?
I guess maybe just, keep it running online, maybe any upgrades, or, taking it to the next level or so. Yes.
So keep so business if like, so there are business during this pandemic, there are businesses which have gone online newly, as in like they launched their new products online, or like some of the businesses I have seen that they have put out their new websites, just like Jeeza did. So I would say like to have a proper plan, and actually like as in like when it comes to the website development, like actually like see whether the expenses in terms of websites and going online would actually compensate the income that you would have, right? So you have to have that, as well as have to have the ability to be able to expend on that first. Like one thing, like the first thing that you have to actually like decide on, analyze on. And then I would say like actually talk to, from my experience, I think it's better to talk to someone who has done it before, from like basically from same line of business, or like a mentor or someone who has been in the business for a while. So do your research first before deciding to go online, because sometimes it might like it is maintaining website and like running the businesses might be a bit hard sometimes because of by with the lack of experience or expertise. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I'm saying like to start off to do your research first and like gather as more information as possible within a very short time, and really think about the like the incomes and expenses of your business as well before going online, just to see whether it's worth going online. If there is no way of possible for you to communicate with your customers and like introduce your products and services, and like if you have the ability to do that, go ahead and do it. But I would say like first of all, just do the analysis whether your business actually can afford it or not, and whether it's worth it. And like it's a good idea to go, like because everyone keeps thinking like because everyone is online these days, it's good to go ahead and do online things. But like actually first assess your customer base and see if they are online, and yeah. So that is what I think is to consider before going online.
Right. Okay. Brandy, do you have anything to add to that? So the question was, how do you keep business going online? By the way, just give
Yeah.
me a minute. I think I need to switch on the light. It's quite gloomy out here. But Randy, you can just start and go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, so like I said, like as an animator and illustrator, mostly those things are done virtually, and then there's not much of a physical involvement needed. So like that's pretty easy when it comes to what we do to create a online platform, like as in like put all your product portfolio online, use Instagram, FB, and put yourself out there, and that's pretty easy because that doesn't involve physical involvement. But for other professions, I think they have to I mean like you have to do the research and see how you can virtually do it. So for as animators and illustrators, it's pretty much easy. I mean, you can put your portfolio out there and see what you can, how you can get the exposure and whatnot. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Jeeza or Rukshi, anything to add to that? Anything to add to that question?
So I think I spoke a lot with regards to online, so I'm going to
Yes.
give the floor
Yes.
to Rukshi. Yeah.
Rukshi, anything that you would want to add
See,
to that?
I'm old school. I don't have a website.
Wrong person to ask from.
Yeah, I'm seriously old school. So everything for me, like, I mean, I've been getting so many inquiries about, oh, do you want a website or whatever. But the thing is, I've been so old school and I'm used to the way things are going. And like Sasmini said, at the moment, maybe investing in a website and everything would be a bit risky for us. But online wise, what has really helped me is like Facebook, Instagram. So that's how we get the message across about, our new products and all that. But regarding like online selling or website wise, we don't have anything directly. And to be honest, like me being so old school, I don't think I'll get into that for a while. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Okay, right. Okay.
Yeah, like with regards to online, I'm
yeah.
just gonna add this real quick.
Yeah, sure.
It doesn't suit every type of business.
Exactly.
Like what Rukshi was saying, it really doesn't make sense for every type of business. And like Sasmi said, there's a big cost involved.
Yeah.
So if it suits your type of business, it makes sense to go online. But online doesn't mean only website. It also means have an interactive Instagram, have a responsive Facebook, WhatsApp, the big thing. Just choose a platform that works for your business, and doesn't mean just set up a website and then running that website and you have a monthly cost and you're going to have so many issues running that website and you're going to have inventory problems. So it doesn't suit every business, but if it's type of business, then yeah.
Yes, makes sense. Yes, totally. Okay, so we have a question. Again, I think it's for everyone, for all of you in the panel. Since all of you are young entrepreneurs, what out-of-the-box ideas do you guys have for the future post-COVID situation? So I'll repeat it. Since all of you are young entrepreneurs, what sort of out-of-the-box ideas do you guys have for the future post-COVID situation?
To be honest, I don't have any ideas or any out of the box because, like I said, it's just trying to keep my head above water.
Yeah,
And
just to survive, right?
it's just survival at the moment. So there's nothing of out of the box, anything new ideas or so many creative things, because firstly we won't be able to afford it, and it's too risky at this juncture. It's just too risky.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Randy,
I
anything?
agree with Rukshi 100%. Right now, it's just getting through this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Randy, Sasmini?
Yeah, I mean, completely agree. Because the target is always moving, the new normal is always changing. You can't think of something that'll work on, because it's always changing, right? Yeah, I agree.
And
Yes.
what is the new normal?
I know.
That's what it is.
No one knows.
Yeah, exactly.
No one knows.
Yeah. From my point of view, I would say like startups, as in like new startups coming up with the innovative ideas, right? So they can go. Those are like, there are out of the box ideas that have already been established. Like I've seen. Like I will just give some examples. Like I've seen one thing I saw, like products are coming up, as in like it is like going out of the box is not for everyone either. So just like it all depends on what your customers want from you, and what sort of business you have too. So I have seen like Yoho Bet introducing Yoho Mart delivery platform, right? Eat Me Global going doing deliveries, and then I've heard like this Dutch restaurant. It's not applicable to Sri Lanka, but like can go to this extent, like Dutch restaurants building this social distancing chambers kind of thing, where you can have dinners with your loved
in the
ones
green, in the outside. Yeah.
So like it all depends on like what you want and how you want to, and what your customer base is as well, to go ahead with an out of the box idea. And like I've seen like then there were Cafe Kumbu introduced
Cafe
their
Kumbu.
Cafe Kumbu
Yes.
with organic stuff and everything. So there are several like things that you have been working on, and that you can actually launch and go ahead with. So it is not discouraged; it is encouraged as well. But like just like what Rukshi and all of like Jeeza and everyone else says, like it all depends on your business. Like if there is no requirement, I don't think you have to be focusing on those things. Just go ahead and try, and like actually try to survive. Like survival is like one of the
Yeah, absolutely. I think the take home message from
right
that
now.
is
Like,
yes, Sasmini. Sorry, I lost you once again, but I thought you stopped.
go ahead. Yeah, no, it's okay. Like I'm done. I stopped actually.
Okay, right. Okay. So no, I mean, what I was saying was the take-home message from what all of you said was basically not to do things out of the box just for the sake of it, right? And especially during this time, you need to assess your risk and calculate your expenditure and income, and invest in it only if it's really, really needed. Okay. So I think we have, Jeeza, we have another question for you. What sort of web platform are you using to sell your products online? Do you run ads on social media?
Okay, so we are actually using Shopify. So our website is hosted on Shopify. Reason being, Shopify is more expensive than like WordPress, but we chose Shopify because it's a lot more interactive, and it's a little bit more user friendly for like people like me who are not like web developers. So that's why we chose Shopify. And what was the other question?
Do you run
about
ads?
marketing.
Do you run ads on
Right.
social media? That was the second part of the question.
Yeah, so we don't run ads, and this is why. Be mindful, the dollar rate is very high right now. So don't go boosting your post for like $30, because you're going to lose a lot of money doing that right now, because the dollar rate is at an all-time high, and you have to be very careful with the money you have, and you have to really conserve like your resources. So what we do is we generally don't run ads, and in this particular time, I've like made up we're not going to spend money on boosting, because obviously the dollar rate is very high, but we do depend on good quality content, and we always focus on interactive content that is going to deliver. So we always think out of the box, even with our shoots or what are the videos we post, everything we try to think out of the typical sort of fashion page. Like we try not to be something typical. We try to have our own voice, our own message behind the brand, because Jeeza is always about diversity. So we have that factor going on, and we have our own little niche customers with like our modest wear customers, and we are entering different social media platforms. We got into TikTok because that's trending right now. So we look at more organic ways to market right now. We are not spending money. I am not boosting a post and spending dollars on that right now. I'm not doing that right now. And I highly don't recommend anyone to set up a page and boost it for $20 for a week. Like, don't do that.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
True.
that's just that.
Yeah. Okay. So there's another question. How can entrepreneurs stimulate consumer demand amidst this crisis? It's kind of a good question, actually. Maybe Rukshi, if you could just give the lead.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah. So the question is, how can entrepreneurs stimulate consumer demand amidst this crisis situation?
Okay, for us, the consumer demand has all been through social media, which is Instagram, and actually it's mostly Instagram for us, not Facebook even. Again, the thing is, we focus on what we are good at, because this is for me personally speaking, this is not the time for me to introduce a new product or to put out something new, because I don't know how it's going to go out. As in, like, if you've never tried it before, I think it's not the time to take the risk to see if it's going to work out or not. So what I'm doing at the moment is I'm focusing on what I know is working and what I know is good. And through social media, I'm just putting out posts and stuff like that. So that's how I'm focusing on getting consumers to either order my product or stuff like that.
Yeah. Randy, what about you in terms of the creative industry? So if you relate this question to the creative industry, I'll repeat the question once again. How can entrepreneurs stimulate consumer demand amidst this crisis situation?
Yeah, so I think if you put good content out there, and good content, and like like for me, entertainment wise, like it's because this is what I mostly do, making videos and stuff. For example, the Godzilla video that I recently made, I mean, took a lot of traction internationally, and a lot of people have reached out to me, mainly to do a lot of entertainment related videos, various stuff like music videos, and there's a big range. So I mean, if your content is good enough, I'm just keep on putting good content on, that will like get you the also, like like they said, like keep the feedback, like it'll tell you if the product is good or not, and see what really sells, see your strong points and work on them. So like, yeah, for right now, entertainment wise, I've been getting a lot of requests. So my message would be like, post as much of good content as possible.
Right. Okay. Sasmini, we got another question for you, but it's also regarding a startup. I'll just read out the question because it was sent in. With your experience of working with startups, what do you think is the best thing for newly launched ventures to do right now? We spoke about startups in detail, but since this question was brought to us, can we add a little bit more? So do you want me to repeat the question?
No.
Okay,
So,
you can go ahead.
I got it.
Okay.
So the advices that I can give to newly launched ventures, from the experience I've been dealing with the newly launched ventures, and I've seen good progress. Like, I'm not saying this because I'm handling a mentoring session, but like talking to mentors or talking to someone who is in the business. Like, get their experience. How was it before this pandemic? How did it work? And like, try to figure out with them how would it work in the future. So that is like one of the most important advices that I can give, because you are getting into a business in a very unstable, unsteady time. So you need as much help as you can get in order to survive in this, just as every other business do. So like talk to the experts, there are so many learning platforms which are available when it comes to like including creatives and everything else, where you can your skills. I have seen a lot of startup founders who are improving, having value addition programs, they improve their designing skills, they improve their accounting skills. So improve your skills along with this, because this is the best time to work with
Okay.
devices that are in terms of my experience with the startups and the that I have started working since I've seen like startups moving from the beginning to a stage where they can actually launch a product.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Sasmini, for that. Yeah, I think we covered all question areas that came our way. Yes. And also, so our times is actually up, so we planned it from 4 to 5. But before we wrap things up for today, any final message that you'd like to give? Rukshi, you can give the lead.
Well, it's just, this too shall pass. So it's just a matter of just holding on. And I'm sure everybody in the business knows, as tough as it is, everybody just wants to make sure that, they're okay for the next couple of months. So in my head, how I'm thinking is, yes, this too shall pass. And, better times are coming up. So it's just a matter of just surviving until then. I mean, that's what I can just tell everyone. And don't give up. Do not give up whatever happens.
Jeeza?
I think Rukshi summed it up pretty well. Yeah, that's it. Like, survive and get through the whole thing, and I mean, adapt to whatever the market is asking you to do, and just power through. I mean, there is literally nothing else for us to do right now.
Yeah.
Randy, what about you?
Yeah, exactly. Like, don't stay stagnant. Keep active and keep doing what you do. And even if you're facing a lot of a lot of pressures and all of that, just keep at it. The more so you put in, the more steady you'll become, and there'll be a proper progress going on. Yeah.
All right, Sasmini.
So I will give a brief message. So just all the hatch, including organizations out there who are willing to help out with the startups, to the startups, and who are willing to collaborate with the startups and work on certain things. So I think out and make plans for survival, and also just like Jeeza keeps saying, adapt to this new change, and it is a new normal for all of us. So all the startups who are out there, if you need any sort of help in sort of mentoring sessions and everything, just email me. We can talk and figure out things, because Hatch is here to help and collaborate with the entrepreneurs in the ecosystems. That's the message that I can give, and yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks, Sasmini. And yes, like you mentioned, if everyone out there, if you have more questions on the topics we talk today, well, you can send them in to Chokolaate, and we'll direct them to Sasmini or the relevant person that you want to talk to. And because this word was brought up in the conversation, Rukshi mentioned it, Sasmini mentioned it, survival. So I'd like to sort of, wrap things up with a quote that Jack Ma said recently. Jack Ma is one of the Chinese business magnate, and he said, this time is not for you to make profits. It's basically a time for you to survive this situation. You can think about profits later, but not right now. So I think that basically sums up everything that you over here at the panel mentioned today. Thank you so much, Rukshi. Thank you so much, Jeeza.
Thank you.
Randy and Sasmini, thank you so much for sparing the time today and brainstorming brainstorming ideas and helping people out there, especially the young people, because Chokolaate has a big youth follow base. So they are with us right now. So giving your insights to them was really valuable, I believe. Thank you once again. Thank you so much. Parami, are you over there to take over and sign out?
Yep. Hi, Radha.
Hi.
Okay, so thank you everyone. This was a lovely discussion. It was very helpful, and I'm sure everyone learned a lot from the past hour that you guys were talking. And it was really a pleasure to have you all with us. And thank you so much. We got a lot of questions, and I think everyone's really satisfied with how this went. So since we've already taken more than 1 hour, I'll just take this opportunity to sign off, and thank you once again. We'll be continuing these webinars on different topics every week. So next week we have a couple of webinars coming up as well. So if anyone here wants to tune in, all you have to do is watch our social media. We will be making the details public. So thank you once again, and good evening to all of you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Take care. Bye.
Because the struggle is real. Because the hustle keeps you up. Because the passion keeps you going. With the partnership between Monash College and UCL, now a premier education isn't just a pipe dream. You can now choose what you want to study and where you want to be in life. Call us now.
What I would say about UCL is that all partners care about the academic experience, and that is very, very strong at UCL.